All right, we're gonna look at this piece right here. And initially, right, there's a lot of layering going on here, which is nice. There's some blurring, so some depth effects and things like that.
You can see that we lost the image, we lost the clock, right? You didn't quite compose that very well, which affected the entire story.
My heart's really beating a little bit faster than normally it should right now. So
Hi guys, EKD here. If you've been watching this and you've not yet subscribed, then please subscribe. Click on that like button. Okay, if you've not done so, please do so. In few minutes, our judges are going to be firing their guns at these guys, right? When I mean guns, it's going to be bloody in terms of stray bullets is going to be eating some people, right? For me, I think all the participants did an amazing job, right? They did an amazing job. I think they've done their best, but is their best good enough, or will their best be good enough for our judges? Let's find out. So the first person coming up to judge is none other but Joseph Labrick, right? Joseph Labrick, and is a lecturer from the University of Colorado in the Department of Advertising. So we're going to have Joseph come up to critique the task of two of our designers, and we're going to have the next judge critique the task of the two remaining designers. Okay, so let's have Joseph Labrick come up.
All right, we're gonna look at this piece right here. And initially, right, there's a lot of layering going on here, which is nice. There's some blurring, so some depth effects and things like that. But I want to go over certain things that I found a bit problematic in terms of the overall theme of the thing, and that being timeless. Because the design itself, you know, the different elements that are used, the scratches, the blurriness, the very thick sepia overlay that we have going on here, it speaks to a specific time. So it's actually not presenting itself as timeless. It's presenting itself as sort of like stuck in the, 1920s. So I think that works against the actual theme of the thing. Another thing that's very prevalent here is this sort of text distortion, and that has to do with the actual word timeless and then the double coming soons. They both have sort of a wave effect on the text objects, and I just don't think that's necessary at all. It kind of weakens the design a bit in this particular case, because you've got certain things like the other text and the television that are very straight, and I think timeless coming soon, like as a more strong statement, in line with these other objects would help the design more. Also, the weird little hourglass on its side, as somebody looking at it, I'm like, well, why is it above the E? You know, like why choose the E to place that on? Again, right? So it's an hourglass. It's measuring time. So again, it's not timeless. It's saying like, hey, this is the time. Doubling coming soon, I don't think that's necessary at all. You only need to say coming soon once. If they were closer together, right? If they were overlapping each other and it was sort of like a ghosty effect, I think that would work a lot better. Also, the exclamation point at the end, I think that weakens it too. Just adding stuff to a design that isn't necessary will always weaken the design. It's better to be stronger with fewer elements, right? Yeah, a lot of the image is a bit blurry, obscured by either the blur or some of the textures like the dust and the scratches being used. And I understand, right? You're going for a certain look and feel for this thing. even though it is a bit contrary to the concept. You know, there's no contrast in the color, right? It's all just sort of like very muddy, very drowning within this sepia fog. So that's something. I would say, like, you know, and also going along with that, the key visuals, that being like the little TV and things like that, too small. It's too small. It should be bigger. If it's bigger, then it's going to speak a bit more to what the subject is. Suggestions that I have would be, you know, popping the elements of her performing. So inside of that television, make the TV bigger and actually make that part of the television just regular color. Don't apply the sepia to it, and then it's really gonna pop out. And it's gonna give that that bit of contrast that it needs quite a bit. And then balance it out with doing something with the text up top with timeless, maybe playing with color there a bit. So in that case, like having everything else sepia, and then having both the title of the thing and the key element is gonna really help this quite a bit. So all in all, when it comes to scoring, how'd I score this? For storytelling, I gave it a 6. For aesthetics, a 5. Composition support, a 5. And for originality, I give it a 9, because I think there are some, you know, I think good work exists within this. I just think for this concept, that there were quite a few missteps.
Hourglass, it was actually for the first concept. I wanted to use it as a curtain, so I didn't actually take notes. I would have removed it, but I thought it was kind of okay there. To the wave text, I actually gave the text coming soon a warp. I give it a warp text. I thought maybe going for a warp text would have been okay, but speaking of the balance, I think that warp text wasn't necessary. I totally agree with that.
Joshua,
Okay.
your turn.
Yep.
So generally, I think this piece is very well balanced. I like the colors that are used. The elements are diverse. They give a good amount of contrast to things. And I think it does work with the concept quite well. As I mentioned, it feels very balanced in both form and color. You have the different elements that are laid out on the piece. They do work together very well. The colors being used, especially the reds and the oranges, I think work very well together, and they do blend together too. So, you know, when you think of timelessness, you think of a sort of ethereal quality to things, and I think this really speaks to that. The Roman numerals that are present very prominently in the background along the clockwork dial, there's a couple of issues I have with them.
My heart's really beating a little bit faster than normally it should right now. So
They're incorrect for one thing, right? So the way that the dial works, right? You've got you've got 1 and 2 over on the side. You can see a little bit of 3 there behind the building. That's good. You've got 12 at the very top, which is fine. You've got 11 next to it, which should be kind of like over a little bit closer to where 12 is. And then instead of having 10, which would be X in Roman numerals, next in line along the arc, it actually is XII, which is a repetition of 12. So that's incorrect. Also, the placement's incorrect because right there, that should be 9. So this should be up more along the arc too. And in its place on that side should be an IX. So you'll notice that you've got the arc that they're being placed into, but the numerals themselves, their sort of alignment and rotation and everything is quite a bit off from one another and from the arc itself. That just looks very sloppy. That would need to be fixed too. A lot of times when you use a script typeface, it can be very hard to read. So you do have to kind of like isolate it to 1 or 2 elements. And here, you know, it's legible. you can read it. It says timeless, and then it tells you like what it is underneath it. And those two things work really well together. The text beneath is cuddled in perfectly with the design of the main title elements, so they work. A script typeface is being used along with these sort of ethereal swirls at the bottom, right? They match up, they align, they rhyme together. It creates a pattern. It works very nicely. The stars are interesting. The stars are in fact timeless. They are, present at the different positions in the sky that they've always been. We can rely on them to be fixed as they are. One thing that does bother me about it, planets are wandering bodies. So they are not quite timeless. They're fixed to certain cycles. I don't think they quite work here. They're a bit of a distraction from everything else. I would get rid of the planets. The thing that I really like about this, going into the sense of timelessness, is that the clock face, right? It doesn't have any clock hands. There's not an hour hand, minute hand, second hand. It's just a representation of time, so part of a clock face, but the actual hands, the arms of the clock do not exist. So that works well with, it's a bit playful with the timeless element there. However, to go along with that, the singer has an upward pointing arm, right? And it is overlaying somewhat the actual clockwork. So I don't know if that was intentional or if it was just how it is, but I absolutely made the connection that her arms, right, are the arms of the clockwork. She's driving the time, or lack thereof. It feels integrated in some way. Maybe she has control over whether something is timeless or not, but that works whether it's intentional or not. This left side with the large building has a bit of foliage. It feels a bit unbalanced from the other side, especially if you do remove that planet that's representing the other side, put another building there, I think would work out really well. And maybe even some duplicating that foliage a bit. So figuring that out, I think would be quite good. So let's get down to it. What is the scoring that I've applied to this in judgment? So for storytelling, I gave it a 9. I thought it was very good. There are some things that aren't quite right, but I gave it a 9 for storytelling. For the aesthetics, I think, perhaps an 8. For composition support, I think it's very well composed. I gave this full points at a 10 for composition support. And for originality, I think it is a very unique work. It's an original work. I can tell a lot of thoughts been put into it and a lot of creativity. I gave that a 9 as well. So there we are for this piece.
I wish I had taken note of that error, that little error that happened with the time, with the clock, I mean. And one thing I do with my designs is once I finish them, lay them for some days or a lot of hours, and I go back to them. I criticize them myself, but I would say, I mean, I had a little bit of time to start doing that, so I'm going to make sure that the next one is going to be better.
I think that was fair enough, considering the things that Joseph Labrick was saying concerning what they did. That was an heartfelt critic, right? Not just any critic to point out wrongs. And I'm very glad they are willing to make changes in the future, right? So for you, what did you learn? So I want to get what you learned from that critique session. So let me know on the comment section. Ayo and Victor, are you ready? Okay, let's move on to the next. So Dr. Poe, let's have you come up.
All right, thank you very much, EKV, and for everyone that participated in this contest. I have right here with me Victor and Ayomide. Thank you very much for your submission, and thank you for participating in the Designery 2024. And I hope this is going to make a lot of difference in your creative journey. First of all, I'm going to start with Victor. Victor, you have quite an amazing work. You tried to piece some pictorial illustrations together just to convey that whole idea of timeless. And I saw you with a clock. I saw you with a few pictures of Celine Dion based on the brief you were given, and trust me, it was an amazing job. But a few things I must point out there, because when you now have the entire design, you can see that we lost the image, we lost the clock, right? You didn't quite compose that very well, and which affected the entire story. All right, you did very well with the detailing, I'll give it to you. But then, you had to use more cop to do some other things. And then I won't say it's 100% original, because I can see the text style that we have there is actually something that is very common. Something, it looks nice, but it's made it not original at all. So based on my, the scores I have here, I'm going to give you for storytelling. Yeah, you did a good job, but it can be better. I'm going to give you a 4. And aesthetics, it looks nice, wholesome, complete. I like the color, I like how it feels, but I mean, I can give you a 5 to that. Then for composition, I'm going to give you a 4. It would have been better, trust me, if and only if we, found a way to, incorporate all the ideas in such a way that some of them are not missing, because you can't see the clock again, and you need your audience to, at a glance, understand the story you are telling. That will make a lot of difference. And then I think for originality, because of the text actually gave you out. So I'm going to give you a 5 on that.
So one of the things I would improve on my poster design is basically the contrast between the background and then the image which I use in my design.
So Ayomide, thank you very much for your submission, and I'm gonna say that you did a very fantastic work. I could feel the energy of timeless right there. It looks a little bit more frosted, more sharp and crispy, and I will say that a lot more work needs to be done on your typography, but the storytelling was top notch. It changed everything. So I'm going to give you, for storytelling, I'm going to give you a 6, and we did so well on that. But aesthetics is extremely beautiful. Now I like how everything was really composed. I'm going to give you an 8. And for composition, well composed, I'll give it to you. So I'm going to give you a 7 on that. But typography gave you out. You would have done better with the typography, which is the only thing I think you might want to improve on. All right, I like the text timeless, but every other part of the typography could be better, because I could see what you're trying to do there. And originality, I'm going to give you an 8. I mean, you got the idea from somewhere, but you were able to execute that in such form that somebody sees it is going to, be so excited doing that. Thank you very much. Back to you, EKD.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Thank you, Dr. Paul. I think that was an honest review, right? There were no biases at all. With that being said, this is the first task. This is the first task. And do not go away, because today we are going to be giving them their next task. So I'm not going to be the one presenting this challenge to them. We're going to be having Carolina Gaspar, one of the judges, present this task to them. Like I told you, every task here was intelligently designed to bring out something from these guys, right? So I'm going to have Carolina Gaspar come up and present the task to you guys. Guys, are you ready for your next task? So let's have our judge, Carolina Gaspar, the queen of branding, come up to give you your task.
Hi everyone, my name is Carolina Gaspar. I'm a graphic designer from Portugal, and I've been working for the last 15 years with brand strategy and brand design. Before we start, I want to thank EKD for inviting me to be a judge in the Designery. I'm really excited, and I'm sure we will help a lot of talented designers to become even more good at their job. For those who don't know, Portugal is a small country in Europe. We don't have a lot of companies. So when I created my design studio 8 years ago, I'll tell you, it was tough. I didn't know how to get clients, I didn't know how to show them a project, and it seemed that the most difficult part of a project was to read the client mind, to know their hopes and their dreams, to get the final result good. I'm telling you all this because I really believe that this kind of content, where we get designers together and we share our knowledge, is really important for us to help and learn from each other instead of being competitors. Today I'm bringing you a branding challenge. Yeah, that's right. But we decided to make it simple and with a lot of room for you to explore your creativity. Here is the briefing. You need to go to a supermarket, it doesn't matter which one. The one that you love the most. Then you'll go to the aisle with all the cookies and sweets. The challenge today is to rebrand a brand from that aisle. You can choose the brand you want, but you need to make sure that you will upgrade following these directions. The brand will position itself as a better quality brand and it will become one of the most expensive brands of the supermarket. You will redesign the logo and packaging in order to position the brand in this new segment of the market. You will make a presentation where you show me the before and the after of the brand, the concept and all the applications of the brand, including the packaging. You will be judged on a variety of criteria such as branding positioning, color and typography, creativity, brand application, and for each of these criteria, I will evaluate the project on a scale of 1 to 10 points, and then the audience will also have 10 points. To summarize, each contestant will be judged and will have the opportunity to earn a total of 50 points. I wish you all the luck, and don't forget that when it comes to branding, strategy is as important as creativity. Make sure you use all of your brand strategy skills in this project. See you next time.
So designers, are you ready? Are you ready? I think that task was fully packed. That task was fully packed. I know designers they are used to being on their chair, sitting on one position. These guys are going to be standing up. They are going to be going outside. So now, who did best? Who did best? Based on the points that I've judged, I've accorded them, and based on the number of votes from the audience. So we have a list of the criteria and we have the points that our judges have given them already, right? So we are including a rule for votes, right? So we have Ayo, she has one vote. You might be looking at it as though the vote is small, but we agreed that 20 comments were going to make one vote. So I mean, Ayo had about 31 comments, so it was not up to 2 points, right? So it was 1 point. So same for the others. Joshua had 2 points for his votes, right? So Joseph had 0, which, like I said, is not 0, right? He had 15 comments, so it was not up to 1 point. Then we have Victor had 1 vote. So these are the points, and we have our winner already. Our winner is Joshua. I feel they all did well, right? They all did well. That's just true. They all did well. But for this phase or this stage, we already have our winner, right? We have our winner. And I want to say big congratulations to you, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
But this is not the end, right? This is not the end. I want to say big thank you to all our sponsors, GDA, Adobe, for making this happen, for adding to our rewards and everything. By the way, if you've not seen the reward, please go and check the first episode, or you go and check our trailer video. It's actually on this channel, okay? If you love what you're seeing right now, you love the production, you love the editing, give a big applause to A-Tech Media, okay? A-Tech Media is behind the production of the Designery. Thanks to all our judges for putting their time in. So hope to see you guys next time, because I am signing out. Do not forget to tell your friends, to tell their friends that the Designery is still on. Bye.